Alright, so welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial you will learn about subgrids and editable grids, right? So you know about already the subgrids which we have seen in the forms section before, and you can add subgrids and you can choose that for which entity you want to see the records, right? So you can choose the entity and you can also create a relationship between the current entity and the parent entity, and also you can define that which view should be displayed, right? So let's look at that. As the name suggests, subgrids allow you to show records from another entity in the form of a grid in Dynamics 365, and you have subgrid as a component that you can add to a form. And subgrids are added to a form, so you can add multiple subgrids based on your requirements, and it shows records from related or unrelated records, right? So there's not mandatory that you need to have a relationship between these two entities, then only it is going to display the records. You can also get the records from the unrelated entities, okay? And then you have subgrid properties you can define on the form. There are different components available. We'll look into that detail. And data can be shown as a list or chart, so you need to define that how do you want to display that, as a list or a chart. And you can also make subgrids editable, so you don't need to open that particular record for editing. You can make it editable there itself, and you can make changes on that screen itself, right? So we'll see how can you make it. And you need to add editable grid components on subgrid properties, so we'll look that as well, like how can you add editable grid component, and how can you make it available for different applications, like you can have it on web, mobile or tablets, right? So let's explore that in Dynamics 365. So here I have the form available. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to insert a subgrid. So I'll just click subgrid. So this is a account one, so I just want to show the contacts, okay? And I can give it a label, like here I'm going to change the entity first. So only show related records, that means where the account has relationship with other entities, so only those entities will be displayed here. But in case if you want to display all the record types without relation, then you have option to select any one you want, right? So for now I'm just gonna choose only related records because it allows you to filter and do other things. And then which entity do you want to use? So in this case I'm going to use contacts, okay? And then which view do you want to use? So view we have not discussed yet, it's coming soon. So it basically gives a filtered view which allows you to see as records in a filtered manner. So contacts, I follow all contacts, right? My active contacts. So there are a lot of filters available on each view. So for example, I'll just say my active contacts, right? So this way you can put the data source, and this label also changes, so you can make the changes to this label again if you want, and if you want to display that you can do that. Plus you can change the color of the panel header as well. Then once you do this, the next option is the same we discussed earlier, like you want to display it as a search box, plus do you want to display this as the index. These are two options. Then we have view selector. Do you want to display just one particular view that you have selected, or do you want users to choose which view they want to see? So you want to ask them to see and select any view they want, or only a specific views. Okay, so we'll just make it off for now. And then you have something called default chart. So which chart option do you want to choose? Contacts by role. So any system charts related to that particular entity will be displayed here. Now here, do you want to display chart selection or show only chart? So you have those options. Whether it will be available on phone, we'll discuss that in detail later, right? And then next you have the formatting. Do you want to display in which number of columns and number of rows? And then controls. So I'll just click OK. Okay, it already exists. I'm just gonna put contact new. Okay, and just click OK. So contact new has been added here, as you can see. And in case if you want to make changes to the properties anytime you want, you can do that, right? So this way you can add a particular grid on a form. So let's see how it works in Dynamics 365 when we publish and we see that particular account. So I'm just gonna save, and finally I'm going to select publish. So it has been published. Let's close this and let's refresh this form. And if you scroll down, you will see that all the contacts are available here, right? So you can always add new contacts. You can see the record associated with those, right? So these are the associated records, and you can make changes if you want here. right? So this is the way you can open a particular record and see the subgrid components. Now if you choose different options, like giving them option to select views, then you will see that option here. If you want them to see a different view, you will see different records, right? So this way it works. Let's go back to the form again and let's make it editable. So if I scroll down, I will have this particular control. I will select that and then I go to control, and here I have this grid. Now currently don't worry about this, it's written something in Hindi. I don't know why. I have not chosen the Hindi language, but still it is showing. For you it is going to show the editable grid. So if you want to click add control, you will see like editable grid here instead of this, but for me it's showing this name, so no problem, we can just skip that. And do you want to display that in web? Okay, so the grid view is this, and then you have different options available, right? So it means that grid view, the particular editable grid, will be available on web. You can make it available on phone and tablet as well if you want. Otherwise by default it will show the read only grid. So I'll just select this for the web application. I'll just click OK and I'll save it, and I'm gonna publish it. Alright, so it has been published. Let's minimize this and let's refresh this particular form. So I have done this refresh. Now here you can see that you have option to edit, right? So this has become an editable grid, but if you see the same contacts which are available here are non-editable, right? So you can make those changes here. Certain things you cannot change because they are logged by system, which you will see a log, but like email, if you want to change, I can just put that and press enter, it will be saved, right? So it's so simple. You can change the phone number, then it will be displayed. If you want to see that, you can open the record. If you want to delete it, you can do that. And here is it to refresh. So you don't have to open this record to change the phone number, right? You can just do it from the same screen itself. So this way you can work with editable grids, and it allows you to save it as per your requirements, right? So you also have option to group, like you want to group by a full name, you want to group by email, or you want to group by company name. So these are the different options available for grouping, right? So I'll just choose no grouping, and if you have more records here, you will have option to edit them as well. So these are the things you can do with grids and editable grids. You have seen it. You need to change the property, and you can make edits here. So that's it for this video, and I will see you in the next video tutorial.